Today we're going to talk about the beginning of Chapter 11, which is probability. 11.1 again is going to be a lot of definitions that are really important for the whole chapter. This is not a hard chapter, but you have to practice, and you have to practice often putting it together to keep the ideas straight for the test. So we're going to go ahead and start. The terminology in the beginning here is just again what an experiment, an outcome, an event is. So an experiment is going to be a controlled procedure which yields a set of results. So again, important piece there is that you're controlling the other pieces in it so that you're looking at one specific idea. The outcomes will be a list of every possible result for the experiment. An event is going to be a subset, and remember what a subset means. It can start with nothing happening, which would be a probability of 0, all the way up to everything that's possible happening, which would be 1 for the probability. So subset of the possible outcomes. We're going to deal with 2 types of probability in this chapter. Mostly we're going to deal with the second type. So empirical probability is when you actually perform the experiment. This is more expensive, but if you're doing a smaller amount of sample size, it might be easier for empirical. So your answer here is going to be the relative frequency of occurrence of an event. It is determined by actual observation. So relative frequency, so it's basically, again, we're dividing of an occurrence of an event determined by the actual observation. This one is our inductive reasoning, so because we're doing an actual experiment, so we're coming up with numbers from doing whatever we're studying. So the probability, this needs to be memorized, is going to be always success over total. We may change what the success means or the total means, but the definition of probability throughout this whole chapter is always success over total. And I always like to ask you, first ask what's the total. So in this case, since we're actually doing the experiment, how many times did you do the experiment? So you'll see here in purple, number of times the experiment is performed. My success is what I define to be my event. What did I want to happen, and how many times did that happen? Remember, and you're going to hear me continuously say this, success over total. The answer should always be between 0 and 1 inclusive. So the smallest number you can get is 0, the biggest number you can get is 1. Converting that to percentages, it would be 0% to 100%. If you're getting a number bigger than 1, you did something wrong. If you're getting a negative number, you did something wrong. So our first just kind of quick example here is to look at this one. It says a coin is tossed 50 times and it's landed on heads 27 times. Find the empirical probability. So we want the probability that it lands heads. Remember, it's still always success over total. So this would be the total times you did it, which is 50, and my numerator here is 27 because that's how many heads that I got for this problem. Going to my theoretical probability, this is an analysis of what the results should be. We're not actually doing the experiment. So analysis of what the results should be without actually doing the experiment. So we think about it. So thinking about, again, that same problem that we just did, which is the very bottom one on this page. What is the theoretical probability that flipping a coin it lands on heads? As long as this isn't a coin that's been modified, we should expect the probability of getting a heads is 1/2. Above we got 27 out of 50, which is really close to what we expected. When we actually do an experiment, we're not going to expect it to be exactly what we think. It should be close. The bigger the total, the samples, the amount of times you take that piece is going to make it closer to what we think should happen. So the probability up here, back again to the second dot, probability of an event when all outcomes are equally likely. We don't have to do the actual experiment. So when we're flipping a coin, we expect it to be 50-50 on that piece. Theoretical is deductive because we're not actually doing an experiment. So definition for probability still starts off with success over total. In this case, I always still start with the total. Total in this case will be, I'm not doing the experiment, so how many possible outcomes do I have? So for my flipping my coin, I have two possibilities, heads or tails. Numerator, number of outcomes favorable to the event. If I'm saying heads, there's only one favorable outcome, so that's how I got the 1/2. We're going to be dealing with cards, decks of cards, so if you don't know it, you're definitely going to need to review it for this chapter. So the next example that I haven't done there in the bottom, probability of picking a red card from a regular deck of cards. A regular deck of cards has red or black cards, and half of the deck is red. So probability of getting a red card would be 1/2. If I was to go back up here to my success over total, there's 52 cards because we don't include the jokers. And success, there's 26 that are red. We don't ever put a non-simplified fraction down as my answer. We are always expected to simplify them. Remember, you can look at the calculator videos in Canvas, and it'll show you how to let your calculator simplify that fraction for you. So we'll get some more kind of just definitions, some pieces that we have of clarity that we need to make sure that we have down. Probability of an important fact. And so here, probability that event cannot occur. That probability should be 0, because remember that that's the extreme. Probability that an event has to occur has got to be 1. So this is extremely important. When you're answering a question, some of the questions in this chapter will not ask for probability, but the majority will. If you get an answer bigger than 1, you did something wrong. If you get an answer that's negative, you did something wrong. D says the sum of the probability of disjoint outcomes of an event. So I just want to remind you, picture-wise, if this is A, then A prime is everything else. Remember, disjoint means that they don't overlap, but they're filling that whole piece, just like A and A prime. So sum of the probability of disjoint outcomes is the whole piece. So meaning it includes every possibility, which is 1. So that leads us to E. Probability of A plus probability that not A happens, which is like my complement, is equal to 1. We really are going to more so use this in the idea of, if I want the probability of not A happening, I can always subtract what's the opposite, like y'all did actually in the cardinality pieces for 2.5. You can always do that piece and go backwards. Where we're going to use this idea heavily later on is when we have at least 1. Because at least 1, remember, means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you'd have to add up all the different probabilities. If it's a small total number of successes, it's not a big deal. But we're going to deal with some that are lots of different possibilities, so it's much easier to do the opposite. So 1 minus probability of nothing happening using that disjoint piece. So again, you're going to see me reiterate this piece later on. Really important to keep that in mind whenever you see that. So some key words and phrases just to remind you. At least 1. So I'm going to use an example. At least 2 means greater than or equal to 2. If I say at most 2, it means less than or equal to 2. The word and is not new. It needs both have to occur. But we're going to need to be careful with and, because and is going to be important to look at the difference. There's going to be 2 different types of and problems. There's going to be an and with 1 pick, which means they both have to occur at the same time. And then there's going to be an and dealing with more than 1 pick, and we're usually going to deal with 2 picks. And in that case, we're going to do that with a different formula. So that's going to mean that the first one has to happen and the second one has to happen. So that's going to deal with a different formula. More means, if I say more than 2, that means greater than 2. Okay, we don't include that endpoint. Or still means the same thing as you had before. It means either occur or both. So the first one can occur, or the second one can occur, or both can occur. So some important pieces when we deal with or is we don't include something twice, and that's a piece that you're going to have to be careful with. We are going to only deal with or when we're dealing with one pick, and y'all understand why I'm mentioning those now. I want them kind of in your head because it's going to be an important piece to differentiate. Your ands early on are only going to be with one pick, and I just noticed there, one pick. In about middle of the chapter, we're going to deal with the case of more than one pick happening at the same time. Law of large numbers. This is an important one. This is what casinos rely on. So it's a probability statement. Apply only to a large number of trials, not to a single trial or even a few. So it's the idea that at a casino, they know in the long run they're going to come out ahead. Somebody may win really big, but including every single person in the casino, they're going to come out ahead. So this is going to be probability is a relative frequency over the long run average. Really important for those words. So if you're ever asked to deal with like writing something out in a sentence form, this is a really important law. Saying that again, you're not expecting what happens over a small amount. It's over a large number of trials. So the long run average is that accurately predictable, not an individual event. So when we're flipping coins, if I only do it 10 times, we expect it to be 1/2, but it may not be, because if we do a smaller sample size, it's going to be that piece.